What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host that is rewatching the Karate Kid movies. And man, I really want a Mr. Miyagi in my life because that'd be so cool. Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. Also, rest in peace, Pat Morita, the guy who played Mr. Miyagi, because he did an amazing job. Alright, this story's called Senior Manager Gets Me Fired. I turn things around and get her job and salary, plus see her break down and then let her know exactly how I got my revenge. Wow, that's a title. I was hired by a company as an assistant manager, a job I was well qualified for. The owner is rarely on site as he owns several businesses. The company is run by a general manager who hired me but who works mostly second shift and who I therefore would have little daily contact with since I was hired for first shift. I was assigned to Eva for training. Eva was a manager and had been with the company for 5 years. I trained with her for a few days and then I was on my own, though she and I had overlapping shifts and would see each other a few days a week. We were friendly but not close. After a few months, I was doing well at my job and had even gotten some new procedures adopted to help boost sales. Eva began to act resentful. She would correct me for small things and took any opportunity to remind me that she had trained me. It didn't matter to me. She wasn't my boss. I reported to the general manager, so I mostly just ignored her. What I didn't know was that Eva was not just tight with the general manager, but they had worked together at another place for 10 years before this one. One day at shift end, general manager asked to talk, tells me it's not working out, says I'm still making mistakes at 6 months that I shouldn't be. I ask for examples. A few of them were petty matters Eva had mentioned, but most were just not true. I tried to argue, but it was clear that I was set up. I decided to reach out to the owner since I had nothing to lose. He was sympathetic, but said he relies on general manager to run the business and had to support her decision. Then he mentioned that if things hadn't been so bad between me and Eva, it probably could have been worked out. That's what I knew. She was behind me being fired from a job I needed, really liked, and was making great money, and I vowed to get revenge. I started searching for her online info. In less than an hour, I had uncovered gold thanks to one of those pay services. About 3 months prior, Eva was arrested and charged with a DWI in a neighboring state. The court record showed she had a hearing coming up in a few weeks. That was enough to get her fired. It affects a professional license she and I had to have as management. Per state law, license holders must report criminal charges to the licensing board, and in the case of a DWI arrest, licenses are typically suspended pending trial. And by the way, for those who don't know, DWI is driving while intoxicated, which is worse than a DUI because it implies a greater level of impairment. Anyway, I called the owner and told him what I discovered. It was news to him. I guess since it was out of state, Eva was keeping it secret. Maybe she was hoping to get let off the charges. The next day, the owner called and said Eva was fired. He thanked me for telling him about her DWI, apologized for how I was fired, and offered me Eva's position and salary. He asked me to come in the next morning to meet with him and to cover Eva's shift. I accepted. That alone was sweetly satisfying revenge, but what happened next was the icing on the cake. I got to work extra early, met with the owner and general manager, and we all agreed to start fresh. Cool. It was still an hour before opening, and I was in the back of the place when I heard the front door chime. When I came out a few minutes later, Eva was there, tears flowing, begging the owner for her job back. She obviously didn't know I was there because when she saw me, her whole body seized, and her shocked expression was priceless. I walked right by her, staring her down with a Dookie-esque grin, and went outside. Eva came out a minute later and wouldn't make eye contact. As she walked away, I said, "Good luck on the 23rd. That was her court date. Ooh, that was a pretty good ending. That's a pretty cut and dry pro-revenge. If they provided examples of an ideal pro-revenge post, this would be it. So anyway, you know what, Eva, you got what was coming to you. Don't drive while intoxicated. That's stupid and irresponsible. Alright, this story's called HOA Yells at Me for Training Guide Dog and Grilling. then loses position on board. To start the story, some background you need to know about me. I volunteer to train and raise service dogs. My fiancé says clearly I have a look that says I am weak and a pushover. I have constant encounters with Karens who are just not ready for my responses when they engage me. I had been in the military for 17 years when this happened, and I was responsible for managing over 130 service members. I am anything but a pushover. I work with civilians, so I have cultivated a polite exterior because I was counseled for looking unapproachable and scary to civilian counterparts. Jeez. The story. As I said, I raise service animals, so I fall under the ADA when it comes to regulations on where and what I can do with my puppy. We'll call him Oscar. Oscar is an amazingly behaved black lab of 6 months. Was he a yellow lab before? I have cultivated a level of trust and obedience where I can leave him in a sit with other dogs around so long as I am in eyesight. He will stay. I had raised a few puppies by then, and I would never have done that with them. But Oscar is amazing, and I can't wait to get him back after his tour of duty helping Mrs. Claus be independent. I meet the HOA Karen one Saturday. My fiancé, Otis, and I were going to head on a road trip to visit my fiancé's parents. In our preparation, the last on the list is always getting the kids to use the bathroom before a long trip. So we head out, Oscar gets busy, and I grab a bag to clean it up. I put him in a sit-stay and hand the leash to my girl. I start walking to the trash can. It's about 100 feet from where he went. I have a clear line of sight to the dog, and he is sitting pretty and alert and watching me intently for a hand cue or a voice command. As I am walking, I hear a womanly screech. I don't quite make it out, but it sounds angry. I ignore it and keep walking to the dumpster, deposit my waste bag, and turn around to head back to my 2 favorite people. It is then I make eye contact with the HOA Karen. Karen from here on out. She is your typical Karen, not an inch over 5 foot, and has the same circumference. The short, chopped hair that says, "I'm the manager now." She looks me in the eyes, and I finally listen to her shrill scream of, "Your dog must be on a leash and in your hands. My county state law says, so I will call the cops." No, I don't do ignorant, and respect given is respect earned. I was willing to try and de-escalate. My fiancé owns the condo and is super non-confrontational. So for her, I try to bring it back down to civil levels of discussion. In a polite but firm voice, I asked if she even looked over at the dog before she started yelling at me. She just bellows like a banshee again. I repeat, this back and forth happens 3 or 4 times. Me calm, her escalating in pitch and volume. At this point, she hasn't given respect, so none is required to be given back. I break out my "you done messed up" NCO to junior voice. It is loud, firm, and clearly states I'm done with your bullcrap, lady. I clearly tell her if she would have taken 2 seconds to look, she would see the dog is sitting on a leash in someone's hands. She stops bellowing at me, looks and turns a bit red in the face, then musters, "You could just say thank you," which I curtly replied, "Shut the hell up and get out of my face." She waddled quickly off, tail tucked into the condo door. My next meeting with her was when I was grilling. The HOA states no charcoal grills, no smoking or barbecue. I was born in the north, but as a military brat, moved to the south since I was 2. There is a difference between barbecuing and grilling. Barbecue is 12 plus hours with coals of hardwood or wood smoking. Grilling is cooking meat on a grill instead of the stove. The HOA put out a reminder, no barbecuing on the premises and no coals. So I was like, awesome! Get a small propane grill. It's not barbecue, but it's better than nothing. So I was out grilling, and I hear a banshee cry, all too familiar now. Again, she didn't come up to me and talk, she just started screaming. So I looked her right in the eye, and with the same firm voice, "Shut the hell up and go away. If you say one more word, I'll be the one calling the cops for harassment by an HOA member." She sputtered something about no grilling or open flames, and I told her to step off off, show me in writing, and by someone other than her. She waddled off, and then I was approached by the HOA president with the HOA bylaws and sat to read them, during which my fiancé started a conversation with them about another issue we were having with them. She was in the middle of having the state attorney's office ask some questions about activities they were trying to force her into paying for. It wasn't going well for the HOA, and she took this opportunity to introduce herself. While she may be non-confrontational when it comes to small things, she will stand up for herself when it comes to it. Her introducing herself changed everyone's tone, and they became oh so polite. Karen tried to play the victim to her and say I was mean and could use some manners when engaging with people. I love my soon-to-be wife. She let her paint her tale how she was a victim. When she finished, she looked her dead in the eyes and said, "You know, I was the one holding the leash and I was standing here when he was grilling. So no, you got the exact same respect you gave." She paled and faded to the back. That's when the president of the HOA stepped in and told me I can't have the grill and that I can be fined and I needed to follow the rules of the HOA or the next time he'll be the one calling the cops. Well, President, roger that. It is my job to enforce regulations in the military. I spend hours reading instructions. Nothing pleases me more than when I can shove the black and white in the butthole's face at work to get my guys what they are owed or to force them to do the job right. So, you want me to follow the rules? Copy that, buddy. So I began my research. I found a few interesting things. 1. No HOA bylaw can be enforced if it is not the state database. 2. This particular HOA's bylaws were last updated in 1994. It was 2016. 3. They state they follow my county's fire code, which follows NFPA, or National Fire Protection Agency. 4. Finally, the gem. The exact latitude and longitude coordinates of the HOA's property lines. So, I get a login for the state's database and print the HOA's bylaws. I print the NFPA, which states in a multifamily home, you can store propane tanks no bigger than 2.7 liters, but they can total no more than 5.4 liters cumulatively. I go to Lowe's, get a rope tape measure and stakes. I pull up Google Maps and mark the HOA boundary line on it. Lo and behold, what do I find? A drainage ditch that is city property not 10 feet from where I was grilling. So I take my coordinates, my stakes, and go carefully mark off the section of city property. Now for the revenge. I call the city-county fire departments and request a permit to grill on said city property. They said go for it. I didn't need a permit for it. No one would care. I insisted, and they said it's $50. They issued an event open flame. So with both permits, it was $100, but I got permission from the city to grill there for 6 months. The next day at 0700, I went to set up. I carefully measured so I was at least 3 feet into the city property, set up my cooler with enough meat and beer to grill till doomsday, then waited for the fireworks. It didn't take long for Karen to come screaming at me. I mean, I was 10 feet from the community pool and 3 feet from the sidewalk gazebo that led to the pool. I just hit record on my phone and politely told her she has no need to yell and I am breaking no laws. Screaming about no grilling and how she was tired of me and she is going to get me arrested and kicked out if it's the last thing she does. She hasn't liked me since she saw me and has just been waiting to get me kicked out. That now that she knows which condo is mine, it is just a matter of time till she finds something. On and on. I guess me polite and showing zero fear was pissing her off. She tried to come take my stuff. Big no-no. As she reached for my cooler, I broke out my NCO voice and told her if she so much as brushes a finger against my property, I would remove the offending body part with force, if necessary. This sent her scurrying off again. About 20 minutes later, I see 2 cop cars pull up and Mr. HOA president himself. He is all chummy with the cops, and as they approach, I hear him say, "Yep, same guy. Already told him once before he can't grill on the HOA grounds." He comes to a stop about 10 feet from me. One cop stays with him, the other keeps walking up to me. I have a dookie grin on my face. I can hardly wait for the conversation to happen. The cop is slightly off-put by my joyous face and slight giggle when I ask what seems to be the problem, officer. I get informed that I am in violation of the bylaws and have been warned once already, and I am going to receive a ticket for disturbing the peace, for threatening the HOA when they were trying to enforce the rules, a ticket for an illegal open flame, ticket for illegal storage of flammable substances, on and on. The last was if I didn't pack up, I would be arrested and removed. Now that he was done, I first handed him my permit from the city to grill. He took it, walked back to the president, and they discussed it for a moment, then returned. Says you can't get a permit from the city to grill on private property. I then showed him the coordinates for the HOA and the Google Maps gridded drawing and my current GPS location. Mind you, I am smiling, handing sheet after sheet to him because the grid was not all on one sheet and had addendums. Took about 4 minutes to explain it to him. As I was about to hand him more, he held up a hand to stop me. He then asks how long I had planned this with a smirk. I told him, about a week. He gave me a look of disbelief but moved on. He then asked me if I threatened Karen. I just played back the recording to him. At the end, he said nothing seems out of place here, you are free to go. I stopped him and asked if I could file a complaint for HOA harassment through him. He said no, that the city clerk office is the correct place, but he would document the harassment by the two of them and file the report for me. In my state, it's illegal to be harassed by the HOA. It comes with jail of a few months, fines as high as $5,000, and immediate removal from the board and the possibility of recovery of damages. I settled for them both being removed from the board instead of filing a complaint. I waved to Karen every day I grill, or showed her my leash if I had Oscar. Ayo! Okay, so I hate the idea of an HOA kind of thing. Okay, I'm gonna take that back because there are obvious benefits, but what I don't like is how much power they think they have, or I guess they do legally have, over your property, and how much that power can go to their heads because you get people like these people, if they're even considered people. I just think they're gross. So that makes me happy to know that there are 2 fewer bad HOA members. But who knows, it could be like a Hydra. You take 1 down, 2 more come to take their place or something like that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.